Yo, what's up, y'all? Good afternoon. So, real quick, I wanted to get on here and talk about a subject that's always been fascinating to me ever since I really got into psychology. And I've been, studying psychology since I was in my teens. And the subject it is psychopaths, psychopathy, sociopathy, sociopaths, antisocial personality behavior. Antisocial personality disorder. Um, Technically different things with different meanings, but all interrelated, closely related. But specifically, psychopaths. Now, I'm not gonna get too much into this, but because I think it's we after looking into it for a while, I feel like you just get to the point where you're like splitting hairs, like the difference between a psychopath, a sociopath, so on and so forth. But I think it just comes down to different schools of thought. Like, is that this behavior, antisocial behavior, is it inborn? Like, are there, genetic markers, genetic predispositions, biological differences that makes a person act in a way that goes against social norms in society and not have empathy? Or is it societal factors that molds this person? And as far as I can tell from the current understanding of this, I think it's a mix of both. I think it's always a mix of both. I think nothing is ever just nature, nothing is ever just nurture. I think it's always a combination of both. So, that being said, and I might get into this in a different video, the distinctions and nuances with, psychopathy and sociopathy. But for the sake of this video, I'm just going to use the word psychopathy. So, I've been wanting to read this book for a while. Without Conscience by Robert Hare. Now, if you don't know who Robert Hare is, he's very influential, if not the most influential, when it comes to the study of psychopathy, psychopathic traits, psychopaths. And he actually helped develop what we consider to be the gold standard of assessing psychopathy, the psychopathy checklist. And it's like, it's a set of 20 items rated 0 through 2, I believe. And yeah, the maximum score is 40. And, 40 being like very highly psychopathic. And the cutoff being 30. So they say, that 30 is the cutoff for like someone being or having a clinical level of psychopathy. But yeah, he created that, and there's other assessments to kind of gauge if someone is has high psychopathic traits or not. The PCLR, Psychopathy Checklist Revised, that's more geared toward forensic populations, meaning, people who are incarcerated. And yeah, that's part of the issue when it comes to assessing psychopathy, because a lot of what we know about psychopathic individuals comes from incarcerated populations, people in jail and prison and the justice system. And it was, it's practical because, the prison and jail it will have a overrepresentation compared to the general population of individuals with traits of psychopathy or antisocial behavior in general. But yeah, it's more likely though that there are individuals who are high in psychopathy who fly under the radar, don't come in contact with the justice system at all. And They're in, various levels in society, from, you know, not just criminals, but CEOs, your pastor, priest, police officer, your next door neighbor. It's estimated that they make up about 1% of the population. And I don't think that's particularly small. That's 1 out of 100 people. Like, think about how many people you pass on the street, driving to work in the morning, or driving home from work, or just walking to the store. Chances are you cross paths with a psychopath, like, various times throughout the week. And what I found interesting is that in this book, Robert Hare was saying how he would be discussing psychopathy and the traits of it, and people would say, "Wow, that sounds like someone I know. Like, that sounds like, my brother-in-law. That sounds like my ex-boyfriend." And yeah, I like, and I think as much as 1% of the population is significant, I think 1 out of 100 people is not a small amount when you think about it. I think that's a low estimate, frankly. I think it's probably higher, because the very nature of individuals that are high in psychopathy is flying under the radar, blending in, going unnoticed, undetected. So whatever sample size they have, and the large portion of that comes from, the prison population, is not likely to be reflective of the wider population of individuals who have, high traits of psychopathy. But that brings me to what, I really wanted to talk about, is the fact that, and I've been doing a lot of research about this, and we have this perception of psychopaths of being kind of like the human embodiment of evil, wickedness, like malice. And I mean, it's understandable why we look at it that way. We look at the worst of the worst, the Ted Bundys, the Charles Mansons, the Jim Joneses, the dictators, the mass murderers, serial killers, cult leaders, the worst boyfriend you've ever had, the that nightmare family member, like, so on and so forth. But it's not always like that. And I don't think it's fair or accurate to look at individuals with these traits as inherently bad, inherently evil. Now, the potential for harm is certainly there. That's not disputable. Like, the capacity for manipulation, the lack of empathy, just the callousness, superficial charm, and so on and so forth, all the traits of psychopathy. Yeah, of course, there's a high potential for harm, but that's not guaranteed. And I was talking to my sister about this, and I was like, I wonder if these individuals, if they were identified much earlier in life and were given, something that would, give them purpose, fulfill their need for stimulation. If they were just given a place in society where they didn't have to hide who they are, repress who they are, if things would be different. This is just a theory. And I came across this list of common professions that people who are high in psychopathy, psychopaths, I don't like to just call them psychopaths. Like, they're I don't think it's fair to identify anyone by a trait. But it's a trait they have, but that's not their entire identity. But yeah, so looking at this list: CEOs, lawyers, Media, that's a big one. Diddy. Salesperson, surgeon, journalist, police officer, clergy person, chef, civil servant. Now, that, I'm sure I'm hearing that all those professions that psychopathic individuals gravitate toward, that may be concerning to think, um, people who are supposed to be helping you, or people that are supposed to be leaders, could potentially have these traits. But I mean, it makes sense. First of all, like, a lot of these are professions that um, give you power, give you authority. Um, but I think some of these, I feel, are good places for individuals with this type of personality, with this type of psychology. Like, I look at a surgeon, and think about it. A surgeon is someone with a high level of skill, but you look at psychopathy. Like, one of the hallmarks of psychopathy is a lack of, in a lot of cases, not all, but a lack of anxiety. Um, Very calculated. Like, I would want a surgeon with these traits. I want a surgeon that's not nervous. I would want a surgeon who is very just clinical about what he does, and is precise and impersonal, and just does the thing without there being much emotion attached to it. I don't think that job really. I mean, it's good to have compassion always, but I don't think that's a job that requires someone to have a lot of empathy or compassion. I think that's good. But now I look at a profession like a police officer. Now, that's where it gets tricky. So, for the average beat cop, and especially like things we've seen in recent years with police shootings and brutality, like, it's concerning that an individual who lacks empathy and or is impulsive or manipulative, so on and so forth, would be in this position. But now, maybe not your average beat cop, but what about a member of a SWAT team? Someone who, like, goes in and secures an area and eliminates a threat. I feel like that would be beneficial, an individual like that in that position. Uh, Media, look, that's gonna attract people who are grandiose, narcissistic. Like, that's just a given. The entertainment industry is full of individuals like that. That's just how it is. CEOs, again, tricky. These are individuals that could affect a lot of people's lives, and we've seen with a certain health insurance CEO. um, Lawyer, hey man, having a individual that has a lack of scruples, that would probably be a good defense lawyer. I don't know about a prosecutor. Uh, Salesperson, again, I think it just goes with that territory. Journalist, that's interesting. That someone who's psychopathic would be drawn to journalism. That's interesting. I can't think of the drawbacks to that house, but I mean, maybe the dishonest factor. You want someone to be reliable, tell the truth, not manufacture stories. But an investigative journalist, like, shit, they're gonna find something out. Clergy person, that's out. No, I don't think a psychopathic individual should be in a position like that. I think there's too much potential for harm there. A chef, that's interesting. Hey man, how many people I mean, how many people go to a restaurant? Like, I mean, I know this happens often, like, or it's common at least. Like, how many people? I feel like if psychopaths are drawn to being chefs already, chances are, that these. I mean, all right, they might not be great to work under, but shit, they probably make sure the food you get is, you feel me? Um, I mean, as long as you don't, maybe if you don't piss them off, you don't get a little something special in your food that makes you sick. Um, but yeah, man, like I feel like there's a place in society for psychopathic individuals. I think of, you know, like special forces in the military. I think of, again, like investigators. Like I mentioned before with law enforcement, SWAT team. Um, but again, it gets tricky. Like I remember one former CIA agent, a field agent, saying that he would, for as far as field agents, he would recruit individuals that he believed had sociopathic tendencies. Which I could definitely see. I mean, if you know anything about the CIA, you know how to get down. You feel me? But not full on sociopaths or psychopaths, but just individuals with some of those traits, like enough that you could say, "Hey, do this," and that they'll do it, but not too much that they can't be controlled. That they'll still remain loyal and serve a cause, but they'll do some dirty things. Like it makes sense. But the point of this video, um, I think we need to have a very objective um, view of this matter. I think we need to be discerning, but we need to be open-minded. We need to examine things with, not just raw data, but raw data is important and vital, but you know, some nuance, some um, dare I say acceptance, because these people are out there and they're hiding because they know that um their personalities tend to be at odds with the values that we claim to have as a society. And I think there's a place for them. I personally think that there's a place for these individuals. And I don't think they're all evil inherently. Feel like like there's the potential for harm when you lack empathy and compassion and scruples. And um of course there's a potential for harm at all times. But I use a quote from one of my favorite TV shows, True Detective. I only seen the first season. I wasn't interested after that. But in the first season, one of the main characters, Marty, played by Woody Harrelson, says to his partner, Rust, and Rust is a very cynical individual, philosophically inclined, deep analytical thinker, but very cynical, somewhat misanthropic. But Marty asks Russ, he's like, "Marty, you ever wonder if you're a bad man?" Yeah, he asks Russ that. Says, "Russ, you ever think that you're a bad man?" And Russ retorts very quickly without even thinking. He's like, "No, I don't wonder, Marty. Um, the world needs bad men. We keep other bad men from the door." And that's how I look at it. I feel like individuals with these traits can surely be destructive, but individuals without these traits can be very destructive as well. I feel like anyone given a certain position can do harm, but I feel like the individuals that are most capable of stopping those individuals are those individuals. You know, who's the best one to fight a wolf? A wolf. And who's the best one to sniff out a wolf in sheep's clothing? A wolf. So, some food for thought. maybe disagree. But it's a fascinating topic. I could go on for hours. But yeah, man, tell me what y'all think, because I really want to engage in a dialogue about this one. So, please comment. Um, I mean, of course, like, subscribe, share, all of that. Show me some love, but I really want y'all to engage, like, in a dialogue. I don't just want to be talking. I love to talk, but I want to hear from y'all too, because that stimulates my mind. So, yeah, tell me what y'all think, man. Again, fuck with my channel. I'll be talking about some shit on here. You feel me? But on that note, it's your boy, yours. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and peace out.